All right, here we go again. Just a couple days later. I haven't done something back to back like this in quite a while. Let me turn this down a bit. Yeah, it's been, I think, 2 days now since I've done a stream. And I think that means it's becoming a routine once again. Because I used to do streams like every other day for like a month straight. But anyway, we have some stuff to get into today. I don't know if any of it's video worthy or even short worthy, but it's stuff that I want to look into nonetheless. And I don't know. I also want to talk about my Tommy Innit video. I'm very happy with how it's being received at the moment. It was up for 3 days, and nobody watched it. It didn't break 30 views, and then earlier today, all of a sudden, it just shot up. So I'm very happy about that, because I spent a lot of time on that video. My only video that is of that length is my Embrace the Shadows video, and those are, up until that point, that was my longest video by far. And that was me. There wasn't nearly there was hardly any editing in that, so it didn't take hardly as long. But either way, I'm happy with how it's gone. I don't know when people are going to get in here. I don't know if anybody will, but we've officially hit 221 subs. That's 10 subs in a day. I was at 211 when this day began, and that feels good. I haven't had growth like that in a while, it feels like. Since it was still 70 degrees out, I think. A lot of that's my fault, but regardless, it feels good. It really does. Feels good to be back on the grind, so to speak. But, yeah, I normally have Black Ops 2 in when I'm just yapping like this, but, not today, I don't. I have GTA, because that's what was in here. That's what I was playing earlier, so fuck. That's what we're playing today. I'm gonna go back to my last save so that I have a fresh new car when I return. But I want to get into. Hold on, I gotta pull up my. I gotta pull up a couple things actually. I'll pull up my Streamlabs controller, and I heard Streamlabs was now they were now allowing kick streaming, which is a new thing. I think today is when they announced it, which is interesting. Really quite interesting. But gotta turn that off. Don't want a copyright issue. Alright, so let me pull up what I want to do first. What I want to do first is look into the Destiny
as I'm in the midst.
That's, I want to turn that down. I might have been loud for stream, but that's okay. That might have been loud too, my bad. we're getting right into it today. Normally I play like a full game of COD, which is like 10 minutes long. Or, you know, I think the other day I played two games. Took me like 20 minutes to get started, but not today. We're jumping right in. We've got The Destiny Allegations Are Insane by Tom Dark. Pretty recognizable drama tuber who I like quite a bit. I didn't set my stream latency to ultra low. That sucks. I don't think I can edit that. Oh well. We'll just have to deal with it, won't we? Okay. We'll get into it.
All right, today we get to talk about someone I know, maybe knew. I don't really know how it works. I feel like the term content creator friend is very gay, but you know, I guess that's the situation we're in. So obviously most of the people watching this video know who Destiny is because he's a monolithic figure that many have said over the years is impossible to cancel. I mean, that's even an opinion that I had. The community he's built around himself is closer to a personal dedicated army, and he's been through dozens of controversies and fallouts. Burning bridges is basically a part of his brand.
He's such an interesting character, and I've said that before. Like half of my Trump assassination attempt aftermath video was on Destiny and how controversial and weird, I guess, is the way to put it, he can be. His audience is crazy too. I mean, like he's not like the other people on that like left-wing portion of like political commentary. He's not at all like that. He's not afraid to say certain words or offend certain groups of people. He's just like to me, he's like the Ben Shapiro of the left, which is weird. It's interesting, but I think he's a fascinating guy. I watched him the night of the election, actually. I watched his stream. I wasn't rooting for anyone in particular, but it was just funny to watch his reaction to everything, to every little change in those 7 states. It was so funny. I'm sorry. We'll move on.
At this point. However, for the first time ever, it looks like the recent allegations around Destiny might be the ones that finally do him in, or at least change the way that he exists in the content creator sphere fundamentally. Usually when it comes to controversies, the DGG community stays in strong support of him, and his actual numbers are barely affected. But this time, the DGG subreddit is in absolute chaos right now, or at least it was for like an hour before the mods started censoring everything regarding the Destiny allegations. So-called orbiters or collaborators like Pisco are dropping like flies, and unless there is a massive puzzle piece that everyone is missing, this looks like it could be one of the things that really tarnishes his reputation permanently. So today, we're going to be examining the recent allegations and explaining everything that's happened so far.
This was an interesting video. I don't know if it's on this channel or his main channel. I think it's called Inside the Mind of Destiny, but they spend a few days together, Turkey Tom and Destiny, like they shoot guns. There was also another video where he goes to Desperado Ranch with Brandon Herrera and Donut Operator and all those gun tuber guys, and that was a good video too, and Destiny was in that as well. But yeah, that was a really good video, and that's actually what put me onto Destiny and his content. I thought he was fascinating. I've heard like a very little about these allegations. I hope they're not too serious, but based on the way Tom is talking about him, I'm a little worried.
We're going to be examining the recent allegations and explaining everything that's happened so far. Now, I think one thing I'd like to get out of the way is my relationship with Destiny. And yes, I know there's going to be a lot of memes when I use that word relationship, but obviously when I use that word, what I mean is the fact that outside of our marriage, we have been, I don't know, I would consider him a friend of mine over the past year and a half, almost 2 years. I would consider him certainly a collaborator. And, you know, while we didn't talk on an interpersonal level super often, I still definitely liked his content quite a bit. I have watched a lot of Destiny content over my time online, and I find the recent stuff extremely disappointing, to say the least. And so I think
wait. This
recent
is totally
stuff
irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. I have that same mouse. Totally irrelevant.
Extremely disappointing to say the least. And so I think from there, the sort of place to go into it is to get into what has been going on with the allegations. So essentially, I and a few other people had been hearing rumors behind the scenes that there were some allegations that could have been made about Destiny in regards to some kind of material that he was sending around without someone's consent. And at the time, I was not at liberty to discuss that publicly because I thought that the victim didn't want anyone to talk about it. The victim didn't want anyone to talk about it. She didn't want to be known for this. And well, now that kind of is all out the window. So her name is Pixie, and she is the main Destiny accuser. And so now we can all talk about it and talk about how bad things are looking. So this all started, ironically enough, the day that Trump was inaugurated as the president. Two YouTubers that go by President Sunday and Cope and Seethe would drop videos exposing Destiny and revealing
Cope and Seethe before. I don't know anything about him, but that does sound familiar.
Information about his nudes leak that was not known previously. For the unaware, you can be thankful that you didn't see the videos of Destiny engaging in some activity. He was sort of blowing bubbles, some may say.
Oh, I'm not even gonna say.
Well, basically, a bunch of videos of him with other people, and
this
thousands
one
of
has
messages
gone, dude. Destiny has gotten so much crap over this one clip, and it's so sad.
Leaked via a hack of all of the sexually promiscuous activity that Destiny would get up to. At least it's believed to be a hack. Either it's a hack or someone just uploaded all this stuff to Kiwi Farms, basically. But the two videos that address Destiny's concerns in regards to President Sunday and Cope and Seethe concern his treatment of sexual partners and the controversy involving leaked private messages, photographs, and videos of an explicit nature. Destiny's been involved in several scandals related to sharing nude images and other intimate materials, such as videos or so-called sex tapes, according to them, without obtaining the consent of the individuals featured in them. And the central figure in the situation is a girl or woman, a femoid, some may say, named Pixie, who has been directly affected by this behavior and was previously a collaborator with Destiny.
Pixie had, for a very long time, repeatedly tried to present herself as an example of a woman who could succeed as a part of Destiny's orbit without being a member of his oft-rumored harem of women who offer him sexual favors in exchange for exposure and stream time. In light of these...
I did not know that was a thing. I didn't know. That was said like it's like some publicly available, widely known fact that he just has this entourage of women. Weird.
Leaks, that image has obviously been shattered, and she has received the brunt of negative reactions to the scandal, since people who hate Destiny and hate the politics of the people in his group are eager to laugh at the hypocrisy of one of them, even if it means joining in the mass harassment of someone who is in fact a victim of revenge porn.
According to President Sunday, Pixie, instead of pursuing legal action or issuing a public statement to condemn the breach of her consent and dignity caused by the leaks, and to be clear, what we're talking about here is the idea that he sent a video of her without her consent to another person, and she didn't know about it, right? President Sunday is basically alleging that she's trying to capitalize on the situation by attempting to extort Destiny.
Let me tell you something, folks. President Sunday isn't even a real president. He's just some loser with a webcam and an ego. I mean, look at him.
In discussions, not so erudite, Destiny's close friend and business partner who co-hosts his Bridges podcast is shown negotiating with Pixie over an appropriate payment amount to prevent her from pursuing legal action, or at least in a lot of people's views at the time, sort of preventing her from publicly accusing
That's not
Destiny.
good. That goes like exactly like against what they kind of preach, doesn't it? Kind of like silencing and trying to hide very serious allegations. I think so. I don't know.
That was the impression based on these DMs. Now, the case that President Sunday was making was that Pixie was leveraging the implicit threat of her planned suicide, including a scheduled note announcing it, to pressure Destiny into providing a substantial sum of money to her. But the case that President Sunday makes is that later her approach shifted to vague threats of public denunciation and legal proceedings. Simultaneously, her friend Straighterade was apparently advising Destiny behind the scenes to offer Pixie financial support as a form of atonement, aiming to mitigate her threats of self-harm, a scenario that would have posed a significant reputational risk risk for Destiny. So the case that President Sunday once again is trying to make here is that Pixie and her friend Straighter Aid are kind of using the threat of her potential taking her own life to alarm Destiny and pressure him into considering financial compensation. That's what President Sunday wants to make the case for. There are a few different numbers that were thrown around. At one point, it was $1 million, although Straighter Aid frequently tempered her expectations and told her this is not going to be the case, right? The condition for this financial compensation was Pixie's agreement, at least in the words of President Sunday, to remain silent. He suggests that Pixie's decision not to go public was not driven by fear of potential repercussions, otherwise she would have not directly threatened Destiny with legal action or public accusations. Instead, he makes the case that her silence was motivated by an intention to profit from the situation through extortion, which, in his words, would then prevent other victims from potentially speaking out if they do exist. And this is a direct quote from Sunday. He says, "While Destiny bears responsibility for the reckless sharing of the images that led to their release, his actions were not malicious." As a victim of revenge corn himself, Destiny has also faced public humiliation as a result of this situation, being that the content was basically hacked and then released to the public. Now, President Sunday's video also featured a segment of a phone call he had with Nicholas Diorio, in which Nick talks about the potential reputational damage that Destiny could inflict on someone if they leaked this, but he would make it a point to say that a lot of this was the victim's story, and if the victim didn't want this to be public, then that was their choice and not the commentary community's choice.
So, I mean, I privately told everybody I'm completely distancing myself from this guy, waiting for this bomb to go off, but I don't want to be the one to light it. But, I mean, I feel stupid. I sent Destiny, like, a message of support at the beginning of this.
Really?
Like, it's about his dick getting leaked, not about this part of it. Like, oh, it's a shame that your dick got
I
leaked.
did
or whatever, which I guess is
remember.
still-
I do remember that first part that he's talking about. I didn't even look into that at all. I was just like, okay, and moved on. Didn't really care all that much. But
Oh,
it
that
I
goes
didn't
deep.
realize how bad it was initially. I thought the big thing was the Lauren Southern mix. I thought, oh, he's got sex tapes. Okay, surprise.
Well, in the back of my head, I was thinking, why would all these people consent to their nudes being exchanged?
Well, the answer
Why
is
would
they
that even
wouldn't.
happen? They would absolutely not. They absolutely wouldn't. And it's like, and I haven't really been able to talk about this with anybody because I'm not like it's a huge risk to even discuss it because this guy's got such a chokehold over his community. But I legitimately think if it ever comes up, I absolutely think that's career ending, and I don't think that can be defended. And if it can be defended by his community, it would completely destroy. I mean, yeah, his reputation's in the toilet. It could be lower.
It's also it's in the toilet with people who care to know.
Yeah, no, I think this is a viral everyone story, video, like community-wide story. If this cover-up ever comes out,
What specifically would have to happen to trigger some kind of, determinate position on this in public for you?
I mean, I'll be super candid about it. You would need to talk.
Yeah, would you have to talk publicly, or did you just see it?
No, I think I've already seen it. I think she needs to talk publicly because if anything, if it comes down to it, and Destiny convinces her privately to take that other, look what happened with Chud Logic and Lauren Southern. He had Melina coming to him and telling him these things directly. And he was put in a position where he can either eat shit and be hated by that community and lose a huge percentage of his audience to the point where I had to pick up the other half of the slack and like help him out, right, to keep him afloat, or he could just leak those messages and be justified immediately, and it would start like a huge conflict. And I guess he did the right thing by loyalty, but like, you know what I mean? It's like if you don't have the person, then it's you fighting on behalf of somebody else. And I've seen this go down so many times with content creators where if they don't have the support of the actual victim in the situation,
Right.
you're fighting a losing battle from day one.
And this is the position that I had. This is the position that Nick had behind the scenes. Basically, like, we've heard about this stuff. We were getting a few different sort of DMs that seemed to be confirming it. The victim, Pixie, didn't want it to be public, so it wasn't our story to tell. We didn't want to be caught up trying to bring a story to the public that they didn't want out there because that's her right. Potentially.
Yeah, because the first person to bring it up is the one who gets blamed. It seems that's what I've seen a lot. I know I didn't make a video on it. I had one like 90% of the way done, but it had just been too long since the situation had occurred that I didn't feel like it was worth uploading. That's what happened with the Do allegations. To be honest, that's very reminiscent of that. Unless I'm thinking of something else, but I think that's what it was.
Potentially, she could be more traumatized by it being made public. And on top of that, I mean, I think another aspect of it is like, obviously, reputational harm. What a shithead would you have to be to leak this against the victim's consent? Well, the answer is President Sunday, because he leaked it without her consent. Now, Nick later shared his thoughts about this on Twitter, expressing that he believed the call to be private and noting that he was only informed about the video's release the night before it was published. Following this, President Sunday released 2 additional videos that included phone call recordings with Nick, as well as another video where he apparently informed Nick about the original video. Additionally, he started sharing private messages, which I'm not going to fully cover because it's just kind of dumb, but President Sunday's trying to make Nick look bad here. Nick doesn't really look bad.
Yeah,
President Sunday,
really
in fact,
no
looks
reason
like
for
kind of
any
a
of that to
psycho.
be
Now,
happening.
shortly after...
That's kind of a shitty thing to do. I mean, I think if Destiny is actually the horrible person that these allegations prove him to be, then it should be known. But at the same time, it's up to her to decide, because like it doesn't only affect him. You know, she's the more the word gets spread, the more people know about it, and she doesn't want people. It's humiliating on both sides, for sure. And Destiny has a horde of the crazed fans who would absolutely go after her, harass her. It happens every time with big creators.
This
Every
video
time.
was dropped, Pixie obviously saw it. She saw that the story was now out in the public against her will, and so she decided to publicly share her own statement on Twitter, declaring herself a victim of revenge corn and announcing her intention to sue Destiny. Her extended statement details her past relationship with Destiny and presents her perspective on the situation. I will be suing Stephen Kenneth Bunnell II. On November 29th, I learned that the streamer Destiny had non-consensually shared inappropriate, not safe for work, you know, the nudes or whatever, content of me online. I am at least the third person he's done this to. I hope to be the last. I will not be commenting on the experience of the other women he has hurt, as it is not my place or story to tell. When I was 19, over 5 years ago, I was extremely sexually inexperienced and sheltered. Being severely terrified of leading someone on, or SA, I thought I could trust Destiny, who I had multiple long conversations with regarding consent and boundaries. So you can imagine my surprise when I discovered he distributed this content of me without my consent. Yes, you read that right. Stephen Kenneth Bunnell II sent nude content of me to a random 19-year-old e-girl Discord kitten whom he had never met before, and then she published it to the whole world. Rest assured, despite having never met her, he at least spoke to her plenty of times on the phone. Of course, this is what he says happened. I think it is just as likely that he used her as a proxy to widely distribute this material while claiming deniability. The only thing that has kept me going is the hope that I can bring this man to justice and have him face legal consequences for his actions. For the past month, I've been speaking to lawyers about my situation and what to do, and have decided this is the best course of action. I will be suing him for violating U.S. Federal Code 15 U.S.C., civil action relating to disclosure of intimate images and for publication of private facts in Florida. I will be seeking emotional and punitive damages for his actions. I have been told that a court case like this could potentially cost over tens of thousands of dollars. At the request of my friends, I've been encouraged to link my Give, Send, Go regarding this case here, in hopes that we can raise enough money for me to legally succeed. And it is worth noting here that Pixie seemingly intended to raise $25,000, and she, as of now, has raised almost $30,000. So it seems that the fundraiser went well. Whoever the next Joe Rogan of the left is, it cannot be someone that crosses sexual boundaries, violates consent, and puts women's well-being and safety at risk. It cannot be someone who puts women in positions where they will be sexually abused and harassed. If the Democratic Party wishes to
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I said earlier, apparently it was known that Destiny has this little inner circle of women who he props up for favors. Allegedly, of course. Keep that in
succeed in the future, it cannot be a party that accepts the sexual exploitation of women. It cannot be a party that allows men like Destiny to break into the mainstream, for allowing him access to such spaces would be a direct endorsement of his behavior. I have been told that the payout might not be worth the harassment and attention I will receive. In an ideal world, I would do this privately, but have been told there's no realistic way the court will grant me anonymity. This means my only option is public. I've been told by a variety of people to not go public. I've been told by some people that Stephen does really feel sorry, but I am not inclined to believe them, especially taking into consideration his actions against me. Regardless, what Destiny did is unacceptable, and I believe he will do this again unless he faces justice. Let me be clear, Destiny has violated federal law and his transgressions against me. He has violated my consent and is directly responsible for the sexual abuse I have received. I am terrified. And Pixie then includes 3 links to screenshots of evidence with the following labels: Destiny apologizing to me for his actions, apologizing in quotations. Note, I had to contact him asking about the situation before he sent me this message. And here he says, there shouldn't be, no, I'm so sorry, there's literally no excuse. I've had phone convos and stuff with this person, they were fairly close to me, it's worthless to say it at this point, but I'm super sorry, there's literally no excuse. I won't say or confirm anything about them. If there's any particular action or thing I can do, just let me know. There's then another link to a screenshot titled Destiny downplaying the pain I felt and my concerns. He says, I think the number of people who know or even keep up with it enough to go after you on this is probably almost zero. I think people hate others involved, me, Lauren, Nick, lol, way more, and it overshadows everything a bit more. As for any achievements or anything like that. The majority of the work and stuff you've done has been completely independent from me anyway, so the only people who would say anything like that are people who would have said shit like that anyway and aren't worth the time. And he said that in response to her saying, I feel like there's no justice for what's been done. I feel like people for the rest of my life are going to try and send it to my family or workplace or wherever I go. I feel extremely violated with how so many people saw me non-consensually in a vulnerable position. I feel like people are always going to use this as proof that I slept my way into whatever achievement I garner. I feel like it's evidence that everything would be better with me gone. And there is a third screenshot here titled Destiny offering to pay some bills, I guess, to try to make me feel better. I'm sorry, is a water bill being paid going to make me feel okay about the lifelong trauma I've received? Lifelong trauma, of course, being as a result of these intimate recordings being released online. And he says, this feels super lame and I don't want at all to imply that somehow just giving you money helps anything go away or fixes everything for you. But if you have any bills or owe money or anything or have any financial stuff I can help with, I can at the very least chip in and help with any of that. So it's at least one less thing you have to worry about or stress over while you're worrying and getting through this. Now, this statement and sentiment has notably been shared and retweeted by Destiny's ex-wife, Melina, as well as Lonerbox, who is reportedly Pixie's boyfriend. And on top of that, I mean, Melina is his ex-wife, so, you know, there's something there. And on top of that, Lonerbox is a collaborator of Destiny, or at least was until very, very, very recently. And the reason I bring that up is because Lonerbox only recently announced his departure from streaming, having previously maintained a very, very friendly relationship with Destiny.
Yeah, this was the, I believe so. I believe this was the, election night.
I mean, I met this guy.
Yeah, I remember that, and Amaranth in the corner. That was a wild night. But, yeah, Melina, I'm pretty sure, is, for the most part, of course, I could be misremembering this. I'm sorry. For the most part, has defended him on most things, despite being his ex-wife. And the fact that they seem to be, this guy too, Lonerbox or whatever, I didn't know about him. I didn't even know his name when he was on the election night stream. But the fact that these people seem to be sharing her story make it seem like he's a little bit more on his own on this one.
I went down for the election event not that long ago, maybe 3 months ago. It was in November, and he and Destiny seemed to be on very good terms. And he was traveling there to Miami to do content with him frequently, and now that's over. Now, following these events, the moderators of r/Destiny announced that Destiny would soon address the situation, and they temporarily restricted any discussions about the controversy on the subreddit. Now, as this was going on, I was essentially covering it live on stream, and Dan, Destiny's close friend and co-host of Anything Else, would call in and give his explanation for his involvement in everything.
I don't know, the whole thing is really fucked up situation. I don't understand why, where this thing came from. As I said, I talked to Pixie one time. I'm on good terms with her. And, you know, when we talked, she was just like asking for advice. And Destiny would probably be upset because I did like the opposite of sweeping. I was basically, she was asking like, you know, about a bunch of legal shit. And I was to the point, I was like, well, let me see if I can find some attorneys to recommend to you. So I wasn't like pushing one thing or the other. You won't find any logs or any crazy shit like that of me doing anything because they don't exist.
Okay. I mean, the only thing she said, as far as I could tell, is that you advised her that going public might be bad for her.
What she was at the time. So first, something to be clear of, like before this happened, right? Because this was all obviously way after the Kiwi Farms thread and everything else. At that point, like people already, like a bunch of people already knew, so like the whole going public thing didn't make sense. I think she was concerned is that she didn't want it to spread, and I thought that was, you know, if that's your ultimate goal, like that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So
that was my impression because I was hearing about this stuff, and I was under the impression that she didn't want any of it to be public. So I was like, she is the victim, so I'm not going to. Right?
I wish I could find like a.
She did it. That was the.
I mean, I didn't look too hard. I wish I could find like a quick summary of these allegations and what has come of them since, at least so far.
Number one concern is like anything she did would draw attention to it.
And so this is sort of the waiting period when I was streaming and we were waiting to see if Destiny would respond. And he didn't respond until after I was live, but he did eventually respond via a long Reddit post titled Legal Arc Beginning in Such Mysterious Ways. Wow. Sometime in November, extremely sensitive and personal material of mine was leaked. This affected not only me, but many people in my life. I want to be clear, the leak happened without my knowledge, consent, or authorization. I never had any intention for any of these images to be published. established, I haven't spoken out publicly regarding this situation for a few reasons. I'm actively pursuing criminal and civil litigation on these matters against multiple parties. Speaking publicly about these materials brings more attention to them, which harms all of the victims involved. I've been trying to move on from covering drama content as it has had an increasingly negative impact on those in my life. One person involved has expressed suicidal thoughts in relation to the matter, and I did not want to exacerbate the situation by talking about it publicly. Because there are now multiple parties involved in litigation, it is unlikely I'll be able to answer any questions until pending litigation has been resolved. That said, though I am limited in what I can say, it is important that people know about my recent communications with and regarding Pixie, someone who I was friends with and collaborated with on many occasions. Since the leaks were first circulated, Pixie had stressed to me that keeping things out of the public eye was important to her. I've always said I would do my best to not confirm or publicize anything, and I kept my word. On December 11th, I received a message from a mutual acquaintance named Laura Hayden, known online as Lauren De Laguna, who has a legal background. Lauren has had a negative sentiment toward me after I rejected her romantic advances earlier this year. I understand that she has organized the fundraiser to support Pixie's lawsuit against me and assume that she has been counseling Pixie on how to proceed. That same day, I received a message from Pixie where she suggested she would create a post about me that would go live after she committed suicide. This concerned me greatly. I genuinely believe that she was still in mental anguish following the leak weeks earlier. I responded in earnest, doing what I could to reassure her and letting her know that she had every
I'm a
right
little
to
bit confused. So did the leaks happen all at once? Or were they over a period of time? Because what it seems like is she's alleging that he intentionally leaked this content of her. But he's saying that this was leaked by somebody else who had access to it without him knowing. I don't know.
Pursue a legal course of action. At no stage did I try to convince her otherwise. This was a highly emotionally volatile time, and my main concern was her well-being. A few hours later, I messaged a mutual friend, Straighterade, who I knew to be particularly close with Pixie. We tried to figure out the best way to move forward in terms of making things right, or as right as they could be, for Pixie. In that conversation, we spoke about things I could do to alleviate the toll on Pixie's mental health. I took Straighterade's suggestions and presented them to Pixie. I explicitly offered to help her financially, having had it communicated to me that she was also under financial pressure while dealing with this matter. Pixie responded, stating that whatever price she would ask for would be too high and would only result in making her feel worse. Later in a conversation with Straighterade, she told me that Pixie seemed to want me to cover her entire tuition for law school. Others told me Pixie thought it would be appropriate for me to pay her anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. At no point did Pixie make a specific or explicit request for financial compensation. I think sometime on December 13th, Pixie unfriended me on Discord. It became clear that no amount that I agreed to would be satisfactory by nature of the fact that I agreed to it. Third parties communicated that the point of any financial compensation would be to punish me. That language was incredibly frustrating to hear secondhand. I had already shown a willingness to make things right as best I could. I had spent time talking to a mutual friend of ours with the intent to help address concerns with her mental health and suicidal thoughts, the sincerity of which I genuinely believed. I was objectively harmed by this situation and was actively seeking to find a resolution that worked well for everyone. I'm not sure where Pixie got the idea that she needed to financially punish me. In this text message, Pixie reiterates that she doesn't want criminal penalties for me, just big financial ones. Some of my most personal messages have gone out to the world because of what happened, including multiple incredibly explicit videos of me, many of which have been forwarded to family members and colleagues. Information has come out which has irrevocably damaged my personal relationships. This saga has been a nightmare for all parties involved. Her accusation that I likely used a proxy to widely distribute this material while claiming deniability is extremely hurtful. I flat out cannot believe that anyone would think I intentionally leaked this material to the public. Now, just a little side note here before we get back to reading what he's saying. There's a lot of stuff he's saying here about how he was harmed by it being released to the public and he never intended it to be released to the public.
I'm sorry, this is the first time I've ever had this thought. It might be a little mean, but him with the blue hair and sitting there like that, he kind of looks like a Smurf. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Intentional thing. And I think that's probably true, but the main concern is that Destiny sent this video of Pixie to someone else without Pixie's consent, and from there it got leaked, right? That is the main concern, which he seems unwilling to deny within this statement. He seems to acknowledge that there was wrongdoing done to Pixie, and that as a result of that wrongdoing from him, it was leaked to the public. I mean, it's just like he's not really admitting here to what he actually did, while at the same time kind of admitting it because of the Discord messages that clearly imply imply that there's some wrongdoing that he was responsible for. Anyway, back to the statement. I increasingly felt uncomfortable by the language being used regarding financial punishment and wanting to teach me a lesson, along with constant references to the precariousness of someone's mental health. It no longer felt productive to engage in these conversations. As is well documented at the start of this, I was completely willing to make things right with Pixie. At this point, I just tell people close to me that if Pixie wants to pursue legal actions against me, she's always free to do so, but I don't feel comfortable talking to her or about her until, at the very least, my current legal actions have run their course. It has been brought to my attention that Pixie has now tried to re-add me as a friend, but I have ignored these requests. I never told anyone what they can or cannot speak about, and I've always left that option open to them. Despite what some people have said, I've never threatened Pixie with litigation or NDA'd anyone. My goal was to respect the wishes of the people who have been affected by the leak. Pixie has now stated her intention to sue me and is fundraising for that. I do not believe I have violated any laws, and since Pixie has made clear what she wants to do, I will have to let the evidence and legal filings speak for themselves. It is unfortunate that it has come to this, but it means that all communications with her or Lauren, who may or may not be representing her, will have to be through counsel. Probably the biggest part of this statement that several people on the subreddit would comment on wasn't what was in it, but rather was what wasn't in it, which is what I mentioned before, being that Destiny addressing the accusation that he had distributed Pixie's sexual or nude images without her consent was totally left out. And additionally, like I said, the direct messages included in both his statement and Pixie's show him basically acknowledging that he engaged in this behavior, essentially confirming that he had done so without her consent. So just to be clear, what he did, seemingly, from Pixie's perspective, seemingly even from Destiny's perspective by this point, was he had taken a video of her consensually. That video was then shared unconsensually. That person then leaked it to the public, or some kind of hacker leaked it to the public. Not really sure which. I don't really have any evidence for that, but whatever the case, you know, Destiny's talking about the harm that he faced throughout this entire thing. And like, you know, obviously I can understand him being upset about the fact that videos of him were leaked without his consent, but at the same time, you know, the same thing happened to Pixie, and that's ultimately what she's trying to get justice for. The fact that it was leaked without her consent to the public, and even before that, it never would have been leaked to the public in the first place if Destiny hadn't sent it around without asking her. So that's the position we're in at the end of that response, and pretty much the entire subreddit. I mean, is livid the right word to use? I don't really know what the right word to use is. I would say probably feeling extremely betrayed, disappointed, angry, just infuriated that this is the way things went. One guy says, how hard is it to not ship nudes around to everyone on your friends list constantly, man? One person just says, dumb and one person says, just one freaking ounce of professionalism amongst online entertainment communities would fix like 95% of all problems. Another person says, go seek help. Literally every single drama you have ever had or any genuinely shitty thing you've done has been related to sex. There is zero reason to share videos or pics with people.
That is so weird. Somebody in the political commentary community is doing this. Anybody who's behind it or in front of a camera, you see it all the time with news anchors and celebrities and people of that in that camp. I think it's some like narcissistic ego thing. I don't know. But that is very strange. I don't know.
Unless they're your own. You aren't a porn star, and neither is Pixie. And one other person says something that I think is very true. They say, unfortunately for you, you've cultivated an audience that holds you to a much higher standard than the audience of those you typically criticize. Which is definitely true, because, you know, DGG, Destiny's community that he's had for a long time, is not supportive of this. They're not happy with the way that this is going. And so, keep in mind, all of what I've talked about so far happened in the span of one single day. So, people that were not fully locked into the situation, or had missed some parts, needed some time to catch up.
I'm glad he's being called out by his own community. I think that's probably the first time that I've ever seen that with a like somebody with a community who's so focused or so Stan like, you know. I can't speak. I'm sorry.
And catch up they did, because immediately as the following day started, another former collaborator of Destiny's, Cherry, had alleged that she was a victim of the same behavior. She had shared a follow-up tweet and links to a comment thread containing screenshots where she said, today I was made aware of an intimate audio recording taken of me without my consent that was also shared without my consent. I'm upset right now and I'm going to give myself time to process. This is serious. The person who received the recording from Destiny was not aware I did not consent to the recording. They recognized me by voice and messaged me today out of concern. I don't feel comfortable sharing sharing more right now. Now, Cherry, in contrast to Pixie, didn't provide any screenshots of her talking to Destiny about this or direct evidence, so we don't know if this one is true, but I think it's safe to say that the prior allegation that Pixie made does seem to be true, and I think a lot of people are more willing to believe what Cherry said here because of how bad it went with the last allegation, basically, right? Now, in response to people bringing this up, Destiny would start banning anyone that mentioned the new allegations in his chat, and Cherry would also make more allegations that Discord messages had surfaced in which Destiny had admitted to recording with his phone in his pocket during an encounter. But it remained unclear whether this recording had been consensual, at least in terms of things being proven, right? 2 women have now let me know that they received sexual recordings taken of me in September 2023 without my consent. I thank them so much for their concern for me. No amount of public humiliation will ever make me regret being made aware of what was done to me. I will be filing a police report and pressing charges. So things are heating up quite a bit now. I mean, now the allegations have graduated from just sharing stuff without someone's consent, which seems to be the case, and now recording without someone's consent, which we don't know if it's true, but it could be, I guess. Now, a few hours later on Twitter, Pixie said, I received countless messages of women informing me that they have received pornographic content from Destiny. Content they now believe wasn't made or sent with consent. If you've been sent this content or might be a victim, DM me. We are stronger together. And so the allegations are graduating to a even higher level somehow. And soon after this, it seems like Destiny said in his chat that he would be taking a break from streaming. He said, not sure if I'll come out as trans or get a dog, is still deciding between the two. I've been psychologically pushed to my limits here, probably on a content break until February 1st. So by this point, the Destiny subreddit was kind of in flames with pretty much everyone taking the side of the victim. So the mods decided to make a statement about the current state of the subreddit. We have a tweet here reading, Destiny's personal sweepers have decided that the best course of action is to ban all Destiny related posts. You're not allowed to make posts about Destiny in his subreddit. It is now only a super serious political forum. What a joke. LMAO, LMAO.
Yeah, that's crazy because that's exactly why people liked his community initially, because it wasn't super serious. It wasn't like Hassan's stream or something like that, where it's just like everything's so serious. You got to take everything. Like Destiny's community is edgy, and that's what people find. That's what people like about it. That's what people like about Destiny. And now they're essentially being censored in his chat. And what separates this from other criticism that Destiny has received is that he almost plays into the joke, like the cuck stuff or something. Like he plays into it. It's funny to him. It's funny to his community. But now he's not allowing these kinds of he's not allowing criticism, essentially. If you if Pyrocynical, instead of like now, if you watch like Pyrocynical TV or something, like at least 4 times throughout the 1 hour video, somebody's gonna bring up his interest in oversized things, and they'll bring up his apology video and that controversy from those couple years ago. Like if Pyrocynical did not allow that kind of thing, I feel like his community would not be as big. I think that would I think censoring that kind of talk is a lot more suspicious than denying, but continuing to joke about it, It could be for legal reasons, I guess, but I don't know what somebody else speaking about it would do, if that would harm the case. I don't know anything about that. I could be wrong. That's just what I think.
Or laughing my ass off even, some would say that. The sub will, for the foreseeable future, be strictly politics and online memes, what it normally is, about 85% of the time. I understand that people want to talk about Destiny, the leaks, the pending litigation, and all of your feelings about them, but there's been so many posts just asking what do we do now as far as the subreddit is concerned. What we are going to do is have the subreddit be focused on politics in a critical time for the US as the Trump administration is underway. What does that mean for Destiny-related posts and memes? They'll be deleted. The reason they'll be deleted is because the thread of Destiny's statement includes not only his statement, but also also a link to Pixie's Substack with all the information she has provided. It will continue to be a place where anyone and everyone can share their opinions within reason if it doesn't violate the terms of service. As far as our own personal subreddit rules, it's been largely untouched moderation-wise. This thread is also Destiny's, and if you have things to say about him, it's the place. I've personally told him that he should not moderate it and let people say what they need to say, and he's kept up to that until now. Now, I've had people messaging me, messaging the mod mail, or just generally leaving comments about the moderation team. We are community members just like you, and are dealing with the fallout as both community members and moderators. We've had moderators choose to step away from the community and fully supported them in that choice. Now for my thoughts concerning the developing situation. I know about as much as you guys do. It's not great, it's terrible, and I think that whatever means to remedy the situation should be found. I continue to stay here because I enjoy this community. I want this subreddit to continue to thrive and not be turned into some snark sub overnight. There are plenty of places you can go to talk about this situation, including again, the mega thread with Destiny's statement. Destiny has said he's taking a break until at least February 1st, and I've told him I'm going to leave him be until then. I truly plan on trying to allow this community to continue in whatever way it can, because a lot of people here feel like they have nowhere else to go, myself included. I will leave this thread unlocked, but I swear if it gets wild, I will just lock it. Holy shit. Now, around this time, Erudite, or Kyla, also made her own statement about her involvement in accusations regarding her supposedly trying to cover up Destiny's wrongdoings, basically, right? She says, I only ever looked into the leaks and reached out to Pixie because I was concerned for her well-being. After I spoke with Pixie in person, she made clear her desire for me to bridge the gap between her and Steven, and her desire for as little attention on the leaks or anything identifying her as possible. Both my involvement and my silence were at Pixie's request, and she shows screenshots for some of this stuff. My greatest concern this whole time has been her well-being. Here are the logs. And she kind of ends by saying, my mediation for Pixie ended when she opted to reach out to Steven directly because I felt unable to navigate her monetary requests. In regards to Destiny, she says, I viewed him as genuinely remorseful and acting to fix the harms he had done, which is why I remained in a business partnership with him. I am very disappointed and angry with him that he opted not to reconnect with Pixie. I learned of the allegations Cherry made yesterday. I support her and Pixie's decisions and the lawsuits and charges. I've paused Bridges releases, canceled guests, and will evaluate business relations as I learn more. I asked Steven for information, but he's uncomfortable sharing due to legal involvement. And so it's quite a shit show at this point, right? I mean, we had Dan coming onto my stream to be like, you know, I don't know about any of this. Obviously, if he did it, I don't support that. Then we have Erudite seemingly saying that he did do it directly, which seems to confirm what happened with the original post. So, I mean, by this point, we can basically say, I think with pretty strong confidence that Destiny did leak a video without Pixie's consent, right? He sent it to someone else without her consent. And on top of that being confirmed, we have a lot
regardless
of
of if after that point it gets leaked or not, although I don't think that's Destiny's fault. He did initially share it without her consent. That's, I mean, even if it's just to one person, it doesn't matter how many people say it, that's not allowed, that's not okay. That's still illegal. A large reason for that is because it can lead to it being leaked to more and more people, eventually outright becoming public. You're at work watching again, Logan? Of course you are. That is commitment, man. I respect it. I thank you very much. I appreciate it. Genuinely. But this is disappointing. For some reason, I'm not entirely surprised. I know it's not a good thing, but like, I don't know. Man, I'm not good at covering this live. I really wish I could take some more time, because I'm learning about all of this stuff as I watch it. Like, I did not know about any of this. I just knew Destiny allegations were out. There were leaks, all that stuff. Didn't know anything about him. And then what's going on? Destiny. Do you know, I've talked about him, I think, in 2 videos so far. The guy, hold on. That's not, I thought I could just do that. I guess not. I don't know how YouTube works, apparently.
in his direction.
This is because the area of responsibility for those counter snipers on the roof behind Trump was very likely in the
I forget when I talked
was
about it.
initiated by his political adversaries with the help of Secret Service. Another aspect of the theory is wondering why
Destiny, this guy.
Real job, or
Okay.
to at least go and do a trade.
This
Opening
guy
up
has
50
been accused of sharing. Are you familiar with? I'm not in the space where I can really talk about this explicitly. I'll type it in chat. That's what he's being accused of spreading, essentially. No, Logan, I will not. But yeah, that's what he's being accused of, basically. Wait, are you saying that because of what I said in chat? I don't know, but it's not good. It's not good at all. And the more I watch, it just gets worse.
Who are now making unproven claims, but they could be true in light of recent events. We just don't know about the subsequent accusation from Cherry and stuff like that. But it very well could be true, and things just get more every day. It gets more every day. Like, seriously, what the is wrong with this situation, with this guy? Anyhow, Cherry responded on Twitter talking to Erudite, and she said, she has blocked me for over a year now after she refused to engage with me after I confronted her and her husband's abhorrent.
What's with the sass all of a sudden, Logan? What's that about?
Behavior towards an SA victim disliked by Destiny. I'm not sure what SA victim she's talking about here, but she says, to this day, she refuses to honestly acknowledge what happened and what she did, and has instead allowed others to harass me and call me crazy, obsessed, and jealous to avoid criticism for her behavior. Now, after this was posted, my own interview with Erudite came out because she had contacted me about the situation, and she wanted to give her perspective basically through me. She wanted to try and clear up more things about her stance and place in the allegations. And I'm not going to make too strong of a judgment here. There's been a lot of people who have had different opinions on this. My basic opinion on it is basically that Erudite did not try to cover for Destiny, but clearly she's still sticking by him. She's still friends with him. She's still willing to do business with him. And, you know, I guess I didn't find that comfortable, and I criticized her for that. But that's basically the strongest thing you can definitively get her on throughout all of this, that she is retarded, basically. And that seems to be somewhat true. Now, to start off, she talks about how she was actually friends with Pixie, and the DMs that were shown from President Sunday were not fairly accurate to the situation. They were sort of out of context, and you didn't have the full context for everything. Erudite had not known previously at all that Destiny had unconsensually recorded material, and she confronted him on it, at which point he admitted to doing so to her.
So for context, Pixie and I have been friends for like well over a year. Like, we're not just two orbiters, but we worked in PV together. When I'm in Miami, I hang out with her all the time, independent of Steven. Like, we have our own friendship. We've been good friends for at least a year. So as soon as Aaron confirmed to me what was going on, I was like, okay, now I feel comfortable like checking in with her and seeing how she's doing. Texted her, and she basically like immediately told me like everything that was going on. And I was like, okay, holy shit.
Now, despite this, Erudite says she'll be sticking by Destiny because she doesn't want to drop a friend she's known for so long, and she heavily believes in the rehabilitation process. She believes she can fix him, basically. In this case, she says that the regret and sympathy Destiny has shown is enough for her to stay friends with him.
I think people are like, the biggest question people have is like, why I'm sticking around Destiny. And so I just want to like answer that question, I think, a little bit more extensively, which is A, if something else comes out about the leaks, which is like more pernicious or criminal, I realize like I probably won't, but I don't engage with friendships in the way that it feels like people are kind of expecting me to, maybe in the public. I'm really staunch about like rehabilitation and like journeys and processes, which means that like if I have a friend who's done a bad thing, they're not like dead to me. I'm not just going to drop them immediately. I'm going to confront them, usually in a way that I think is most.
Ask you a question? I don't know what question. No, Logan, I'm not asking you on a date. Ugh, I know you've been trying to... look, man. I know. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't do it. It's not right. It's not right. I'm sorry.
productive, particularly if they've done something that I think not just violates like my values, but their own values. This isn't the first time I've confronted Steven on different things. It's just the biggest thing that I've confronted him on.
Now, she still says that she knows what he did was wrong and he did a piece of shit move, but I don't know. To me, it seems like she doesn't think it's that wrong. I don't know, she makes this weird delineation in the interview between like, oh, well, on one hand, if he had unconsensually recorded someone, that would be just absolutely foul. But if he didn't unconsensually record someone, but he did unconsensually send it to someone else, then that's not as bad. And, I guess you can argue that they're, not the same exact act and one is worse than the other. But to me, it's like they're both bad enough that just fuck it all, right? Like it's over.
Steven does bad things. Steven was a piece of shit. He was negligent in this situation, right? He wasn't trying to hurt anyone.
I'm just kidding, buddy. I'll text you about it later, or you can call me. You can go on Discord or something. I'm free. I mean, we can even talk about it right now. I don't even care. No, I'm not. I was joking.
But he should have known better, and he does know better.
And the rest of the interview is me going through the DMs that were shown by Sunday, and Erudite showing more text of her showing concern for Pixie instead of the previously thought sentiment that she was sort of trying to cover for Destiny. It seems that Straighterade was the one who started accusing Erudite of being sneaky about this in the first place, and that for the most part, Pixie had been fine with everything that Erudite did. Do you have any comment on that Straighterade DM?
It really sucks. Like, I thought I was friends with Straighterade, so super sucks to know that she's just like thinking I've been sneaky the whole time. I don't know. I don't know. It's mostly really sad. It's really sad that Straighterade sent these DMs like against Pixie's consent to like probably my biggest internet harasser.
Now after
Bro,
this,
what are you talking about? I'll text you later, or we can go on Discord. It's up to you. But I don't know what's going to work for me just yet.
Each DMs from another Destiny orbiter named Peach would end up coming out, and
Dude.
this allegedly confirmed that Destiny records people without consent, and she says she knows at least one person he's done this to. She says basically that I was happy for her and it was okay. I know the secret memes, what Lauren is talking about, which I was going to use as an argument about anyone saying that I leaked our video for clout or whatever, because he has sent me super damning shit that I could release and cause ultimate chaos. Yeah, but he does often secretly record stuff, so I'm assuming he sent something to Lauren and she's now using it as ammo. And this is in regards to Lauren De Laguna. But if she releases it, then can she get in trouble? She says, not gonna lie, it's kind of icky. I thought so when I found out too, but I'm biased, honestly, that I chose to ignore it and pretend it's fine. She then says it's sex audio, and she says, yeah, I know he sent me some with orbiters, and their sexual dirty talk tone is enough to cause drama. Like, you know who it is. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I know there was one person who he did not ask for consent. So she is claiming that he didn't ask for consent as well. This is another person. So as the third day of the allegations rolled around, this is really when the wheels start falling off even more and things start getting even worse. By now, almost everyone that knew anything about Destiny had seen the condemning leaks, and a lot of his so-called orbiters or collaborators, whatever you want to call them, would start making statements. Pisco, who's a longtime friend and collaborator of Destiny, he's a guy who I met also when I went down to the election stream. Seemed like a nice dude. Don't know much about him beyond that, but seemed like a nice guy. He decided to end the New York City content initiative he'd been working on with Destiny and basically cut ties with him.
We're closing the New York content. I think it's important also that you know that, my genuine thoughts on the underlying conduct, now that we've sort of steadied the ship of the content a little bit, we've done communications, we've been behind the scenes making sure that things just don't collapse into nothing. My friendship with Steven is well known. I generally, liked him a lot, still, viewed him as a friend, and obviously it's tough, but what occurred and what I've seen is completely and totally unacceptable and horrible. Are you still working with Destiny? No, not at this time, no.
Now, Destiny then started making some interesting statements in his chat, starting with claiming that he was not the only person here, and there were like 20 other streamers who had done the same thing. And he then accused the people filing lawsuits against him as money-driven, accusing them of seeking financial gain.
Yeah, that's really not the way to go about this, man. Destiny's smarter than that.
which was interpreted by many
At
as
least I
victim
thought.
blaming, and I don't think that's a horrible way to view it. He also kind of downplayed his actions, saying his only crime was being too much of a gooner in 2023 and earlier, and it's like, dude, that's like 2 years ago. Like that's not that long ago. Like it's not like it was like 15 years ago, 5 years ago, even. Like this was like within the last calendar year and a half, right? But the beginning of 2023 was 13 months ago. But whatever. Pixie ended up responding to this on Twitter, and she said, to all the people claiming that I only cared about personal profit and that Destiny tried to make things right, here's some DMs between Destiny and a close friend of his. Destiny knew about these DMs and never got back to me. And she linked some messages here, and these are messages regarding Erudite. And Pixie said, I don't think if Steven faces consequences, he will change and he will do this again. If he wants, he can donate the money to some charity or organization. I just think that other than jail, or even more than jail from the studies I've read, money is the strongest reinforcer and losing it is the strongest punishment. I do not believe he will stop his actions unless he faces some level of punishment. And in the next DM to Erudite, she said, yeah, I'm not even sure about the specifics regarding money and or punishment. I believe in rehabilitation, but part of rehabilitation is penance. The person understands what they did is wrong, takes corrective course of actions to help pay penance to the victims and do right by them. I just want to know if Steven agrees with this and is willing to figure out what this means to both of us in a manner that makes sense to both of us. I don't want to cause unnecessary harm or suffering to him. I want to know he will never do this again, and I think this would be the most effective method of doing so, or jail, but I don't want Steven to go through criminal court because 1, our justice system is horrible, getting people to change their behavior, and 2, I feel like it would be overkill on my part. Pixie's sharing these DMs from before the allegations went public, trying to show that she was never, trying to basically like suicide bait him. She wasn't trying to just profit off of him. The goal is to, get him to not do something like this again. That's her stated goal. Now, Destiny would continue talking in his offline chat with several statements, most infamously saying, if I need to go on a sex offender list, I'm taking like 20 other streamers with me.
Crazy. Oh. It's almost like what he said before, too. It's almost like he's trying to justify it. Like, I'm not the only one who's done this. I don't deserve this level of hate when nobody else has gotten it either. It's like, that's not how you should respond to this. It's like he's not sorry. At all.
Me, okay, lol. So I guess the implication here is that 20 other streamers have done this. I don't know who they are, but that seems pretty pretty bad. If this is true, like, who are they? He also then said, also, regardless of anyone simping for me or attacking me or whatever in here, if any of you are ever defending sending material to people without their explicit consent or anything like that, I'm banning you. Don't end up defending retarded shit just because you're defending your streamer fan or anything like that. So here he's seemingly saying that you shouldn't be defending the thing that he is most strongly accused of. Now, sifting through more Discord DMs, people have also pointed out during a conversation with Straighterade, she said, you didn't even leak it at all. You distributed it non-consensually. To which Destiny said, yeah, I know. Which, like, I mean, it's what stronger confirmation do you need? I mean, there's seemingly no DM where he outright denies that he did this. I mean, maybe, once again, there's some missing puzzle piece that I'm missing. And if that is the case, obviously this video is going to be totally shit and out of date at the very least. And I would be more than willing to make that, public, his new response, and show that he never did this in the first place. But realistically speaking, like, Erudite said that he did this, Pixie said that he did this, Destiny seemingly is acknowledging that he did this, and all of the messages. So unless there's some like grand conspiracy, against him, there's basically like two outcomes, which is one, that he did it, which is the most likely, and secondly, he didn't do it and he is having like a schizophrenic meltdown or something like that, and is just like unable to directly deny the allegations. Like, I don't even know. It's over. Now, safe to say, Destiny's made his fair share of detractors over the years as well, and after the situation came out, a lot of them started gloating about it on Twitter, as you can imagine. One of them being Anna Kasparian. She said, just bumping this up from last summer given the allegations he's facing. Wonder if he still feels this way, in regards to Destiny shit-talking her a little while ago. Now, Sneeko also reacted to it on stream, and he had a very favorable reaction, of course.
I did a stream 2 years ago debating feminism. Destiny was sitting right here, swiping on Grindr, mind you. That's not a joke, he was. Sitting here swiping on Grindr while he brought two feminists to sit there and debate me. Pixie and the other girl. I don't remember her. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't. Pixie and the goth chick. And now, allegedly, apparently, they're suing him for leaking nudes.
That is
But I'm the
crazy. That is extremely ironic. I've kind of crapped on Sneeko a lot, but this is kind of, he's making a good point, to be honest.
How the Tables turn.
And of course, Hassan Piker also dedicated an entire stream to the drama and spent a lot of it gloating about how, how he was right.
I learned new things about Destiny from you, and it's never good news. I rarely ever cover
Yeah, and that's kind
Destiny
of
on
crappy
this
too.
broad.
Just gloating, being like, I was right. I knew it this whole time. Is not okay either. I don't
But
think.
this is moving beyond the point of like petty drama or whatever into criminal liability.
I mean, not that he knew that this was the case or he knew that this happened, but, he was just right in the respect that Destiny is a bad guy. And obviously what Destiny did was and it sucks that Hassan in the end got the last laugh. Not a great timeline, but he did this to himself. This is
Dude,
nobody's
what is
fault
the
but his own. Content creators.
footage that Tom uses? What sometimes the footage he picks is so silly.
And especially drama commentary people like myself have a habit of saying it's over and we're back because it looks good in titles and it's a simple way of describing a situation, even if it may not be entirely the case. But in this case, I think it may be over. Every form of evidence that's been shown so far, and even Destiny's response, has been so bad that I find it very hard to see him getting out of the situation with a career entirely intact. Like, is it possible he'll keep streaming and maintain some audience? Yeah, probably. But I don't think that anyone serious in the political landscape is going to want to work with him again. Who knows? Maybe down the line, things are going to be more cleared up and maybe there will be some different situation where maybe there's some possibility Pixie's lying with all of this, right? Like if she's lying, she's doing a great job at it because she somehow managed to get Destiny to basically admit to it and to get Kyla Erudite to admit to it and everyone to just drop off from the Destiny camp. Like you got to understand, he's been through so many cancellations, right? So many different cancellation attempts. None of them have really been nearly as strong as this, right? Like none of them have been to the point where everybody around him is just like, I'm done with this guy, right?
Yeah.
And that is what's happening here. And that's why my motto is stop gooning, guys. This is ultimately the end result for Chronic Gooners. So put on that freaking hat. We'll be restocking them soon. We'll be restocking the hats soon.
Oh my god.
It seems like people still need a reminder.
Tom visited Destiny Island but says nothing happened. Tom coping with Destiny is like a child learning the reason why dad can't pick him up from school anymore. Actually, though, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna go back to GTA for a second. That is wild. Yeah, it's off. Good. Okay. What are my thoughts on this whole thing? I mean, everybody's dropping him. I would not have expected that. I thought this would be like, I don't know, like people get called out for stuff like this all the time, but they still maintain a decent sized audience. I mean, when I first heard about this, I thought it was like he would deny it and it'd be like one of those situations where nothing really happens. I don't really know what other situation to compare it to. Where they like kind of just like nothing happens and they keep their popularity and fame for the most part. Like it's just like a pothole in their career. It's like a bump in the road. And nothing really changes for anybody. I didn't think it was this serious. I didn't think everybody would be leaving him, essentially. But that seems to be the case now. But, anyway. Next on the list, Brett Cooper, former Daily Wire show host, has started her own YouTube channel. It's almost at 1 million subscribers already. She just released her first episode, I think, earlier today. And it's quite popular. It's quite the interesting video, quite the title to come back to, because it's kind of criticizing other people in that right-wing commentary scene. And I think it's an interesting premise for a video, especially coming from somebody in that space themselves. And I think that's what we're going to take a look at next. We're not going to watch the whole thing, of course. I'm just very curious to see. I watched like the first 20 seconds. I'm very curious to see what she has to say and kind of how this comeback is going to shape YouTube. This kind of the space going forward. She had a pretty big impact on YouTube. I think she was one of the Daily Wire's just like biggest creators, more independent creators, because you got like obviously like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, but when you think of those people, you think of the Daily Wire. Even when Brett Cooper was a part of that network, I didn't really think of her as a part of that network. I thought of her as more of her own individual entity. And now she literally is. She was fired from the Daily Wire, and now she has become her own individual entity with her own channel. And now video. Have it in my history here. I'll pull it up.
To go deeper and explore with this new.
Yeah, I don't think she has ads on her videos yet. But either way, I think this will be interesting.
What's up, guys, and welcome to The Brett Cooper Show. I am so happy that you guys found me over here on this new channel. I am so excited to start this new chapter with you guys. We have been hard at work behind the scenes, literally boots on the ground, me and my 80-year-old neighborhood grandpa putting shiplap up on the ceilings to cover up my 90s popcorn ceilings that I thought you guys would not find aesthetically pleasing on a set. We're literally in a room at my house. We put this all together. Anyway, I am so excited to bring this new show to you and show you guys what we have been working on. So my
Before we get into
goal
this,
with
she actually had, oh my god, it's over 1 million views. It was at like 900K just a couple hours ago, I swear. But yeah, official trailer. This trailer was like a movie trailer, I swear.
After weeks of speculation, Brett Cooper has left.
Well, it looks like the rumors were true.
Brett Cooper's departure has caused quite a stir.
The internet is absolutely melting down.
Brett Cooper did, in fact, announce her exit.
Brett Cooper announces she is leaving the Daily Wire.
Brett Cooper is officially leaving the Daily Wire.
Now she is walking away.
Brett Cooper has left.
She is gonzo.
Brett Cooper says,
I'm out of here.
Now Brett Cooper has nearly 500,000 subscribers without a single video yet.
She already has a channel. There's now at 500,000 subs.
If you look at her numbers, Brett Cooper is popping off.
She has one of the fastest growing YouTube channels.
But
now.
what's the end all be all for Brett
So,
Cooper?
the big question on a lot of our minds is what is she going to do next?
I think it's a bit overkill. To be honest, but
the world you desired can be one. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It's yours. But to win it requires your total dedication and a total break with the world of your past.
yeah, very interesting launch. 2 million views. I mean, it's insane.
What's up, guys? We have been hard at work behind you guys. Anyway, I am so excited to bring this new show to you and show you guys what we have been working on. So my goal with this new show is to foster understanding, to go deeper and extract substance in the stories and issues that matter most to us, the issues that impact us on a daily personal basis. And I have always said this, but I want to reiterate it, that I do not take for granted the fact that you guys take hours out of your busy lives to watch my videos, and I want to make sure that every single second of that time matters. I want to make sure that every single video I put out leaves you feeling more confident or empowered or smarter or more inquisitive about the world. And so because of that, we are going to be doing less frequent episodes. We're not going to be chasing the news cycle as much.
I always felt that she was a lot more grounded than a lot of the other Daily Wire people, I guess. I don't know.
I want to make sure that every single episode
Could be
is
wrong, but she
intentional.
seems
this
a lot
first
more
season, in my eyes, is all about
relatable.
understanding
That's probably how she's.
where
That, I
we've
mean,
come
I know
from,
that
where
the studio, at least that she had there, I guess the one that she's built now, is she's trying to relate to a younger audience. She's trying to be relatable, and I don't know if that's. And a lot of times, at least when older people try to do that, and those older media style networks try to appeal to the younger demographic because they get no views otherwise. It's kind of cringe, but she hasn't been, at least in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe that'll change.
And trying to fix the obvious disconnect between the generations, between values, and so much more. So I hope you are ready for even more hard truths, deeper dives than we have ever gone before, insightful interviews, and of course, lots of laughter and levity, because it would not be a Brett Cooper production if we were not having fun through it all. But for this first episode of season 1 of the Brett Cooper Show, I thought that we could just keep it simple and keep it between us, and I realized I just said keep it simple, but this episode kind of is not simple at all. It actually might get me into trouble, but we do need to talk about how the right runs the risk of literally losing everything that we've worked for if we continue down a path of mimicking the left's toxicity. AKA, we need to talk about right-wing cancel culture.
I've been noticing this a lot lately, too, and I'm honestly surprised to see somebody on this side of the spectrum covering this. I've seen a lot of, the term that they use a lot, I see, is woke, and it's so cringe. It used to be fine. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that when somebody would label something as woke, it'd be kind of like that rebellious term. But now it's just, it's lost all of its value, and it's just become annoying to hear somebody say that. Kind of like the same way on the other side, these terms like racist have lost their meaning too. It just, and I think it's not good for their cause, whatever cause they're trying to push. And I'm working on a video right now that's about video games, and the worst takes in gaming. And one of them is that gaming has become too woke to actually enjoy them. And like, for example, female characters are not attractive enough, or there are certain characters who are gay, and they're just trying to push that agenda. Like, who cares? Just play the game. Enjoy the game. It doesn't matter. If you don't like the game because of its narrative or because of its gameplay, that's fine. But because of the identity of the characters themselves, as long as they're interesting, who cares? As long as they have a good story. Like, if they're tokenistic characters who are made only to appeal to, or only to pander to whatever demographic that is, obviously that's not okay. That's boring. That's lazy. I don't want that. But in most cases, that's not what's happening. And people are just genuinely getting upset. They're confusing. I just got a comment on one of my videos. I don't know. I find it just annoying. And I'm surprised to see somebody talking about the more right-wing cancel culture. I think it's a good thing that needs to be talked about, for sure.
But before we do, and you guys know the drill, make sure that you are subscribed to this new YouTube channel, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course, ring that notification bell to stay up to date on all new episodes of The Brett Cooper Show. And if you guys want even more content and ad-free episodes, click the link in the description below to check out my new subscriber-only platform. There'll be lots of information below. Would love for you guys to check it out. But we have far more pressing matters to attend to. All right, so I've been thinking about this topic.
I just got another sub. 222. I'm officially at now, live. I mean, this is great. My timing, I'm so happy with that. video. Oh, thanks, man. That's really cool. That's really cool. That's so rare, man. I'm just gonna take some time to bring this up real quick. Because I just really appreciate stuff like this. This video, I'm so happy with how this is going. Genuinely.
You remember that guy?
Lots of support, and I really like it. This newest comment, there's a few points in here that I don't agree with, but I think this is a pretty well-made video for such a small channel. Keep up the good work. I think that is the first time ever that I've seen somebody who disagrees and is still respectful, and I think they even subscribed too, and that's so cool. It's so rare that you actually see that on YouTube. I never have, you know. Respectful disagreement. It's so cool. I love it. That means a lot. Man, I'll probably reply to that later. I'll come up with something, but man, that's really cool. All right, we'll get back to the reaction.
Since New Year's Eve, and I've known that I want to cover this on my first episode because it just keeps coming up. And
this is a
it specifically
fantastic
came up on
first
New Year's
episode
Eve after
decision.
the actress and comedian Whitney Cummings did a set on CNN's New Year's Eve show. And if you missed it, just take a look.
2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's, oh God. Andy just gave me a very scary look. No! I thought being a mom would mean that less people would want to come see me. I'm now playing, like 3,000 seat theater, which is about the viewership of CNN these days.
I mean, it's so great. Like this entire set, she is basically shocked they have not cut her off. You can tell that she's uncomfortable. She's like very tentative. She's taking a risk, making all of these jokes that are incredibly honest. They're incredibly genuine and insightful about.
I don't know. That's cool and everything, but I thought Whitney Cummings was pretty funny. But then she went on the Talk To It podcast. I've lost all respect for her. It was so bad. I hated that. I mean, of course I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. Holding my hands up right now. It wasn't me. That was not good. That was terrible. Just saying.
The state of our world and the state of politics. And people loved it. Like, she went on for like 5 minutes and everybody was, again, literally in shock that she was not cut off. And of course, she immediately went viral on X. Some people had never heard of her before. They were so excited to find, another brave and honest comedian who was willing to push boundaries and make these kinds of very, relevant jokes. But what makes the story interesting is that people turned on her as quickly as they fell for her because they realized that 5 years ago when COVID was raging, she used to be very pro-vaccine and that she even had vaccine mandates for some of her live shows during that 2020-2021 period. You have some tweets here. You can see her talking about the vaccine, saying that, God, we need a vaccine. Can we make a vaccine now? Go, we need a vaccine. Chop, chop on that vaccine. Like, she was tweeting about this constantly. And immediately, people on X started calling her out. They were calling her a grifter and a fraud, saying that she was an opportunist.
I get where she's going with
taking
this.
Advantage of this time in culture when things were
Yeah,
shaky.
going after people for older tweets is such a cancel culture type of thing. And I get that whole especially initially in 2020, that whole scare around we need this immediately. And I don't agree with censorship or anything, but I understand why a lot of people were in support of that kind of thing, because it was a scary time. And I think that's why a lot of those tweets, a lot of those opinions were being expressed in that time.
To the right to try to make a name for herself. They literally lost their damn minds. And again, this happened in a matter of hours. I watched her videos go viral. I was like, man, this girl is so cool. I've seen her on TV. And then suddenly everybody hated her. And it makes no sense to me. Like, they were angry that she had not issued a formal apology before getting up and doing a comedy set. Like, they were angry that her track record wasn't perfect. Like, guys, nobody in the world has a perfect track record. And more than anything, I think that we should focus on their actions. I mean, that's how I evaluate everything in my life, whether it is a politician or my meat delivery service, which is why I trust Good Ranchers. Guys,
oh my
you know
God,
that 85%
sponsorship on
of
the
grass-fed
first
meat in our
episode
store
is crazy. But honestly, honestly kind of based. I've been trying to lower my usage of that word, but I'm liking this video.
Is actually
I'm not going to skip through it,
from
but
the
I'm going
US.
to lower
That's
the
because
volume. Again, I always say this. I don't skip through sponsorships because it's not my video. I have no right to. But I mean, this is a good. This is what I've been trying to say for a little while now. Some things that I've been noticing is this just like really weird cancel culture or virtue signaling type behavior, but on the other side, it's so weird. It's so weird. And as somebody who was more in that camp just a few years ago, and now watching that kind of the scales have been tipped a little bit, where it's kind of gone to the other side, where they're kind of the unreasonable, petty side of the internet, where it's like, now we got to take our revenge. Like, no, that's so weird. What do you like? For a little while, it was actually balanced, where it was like you could actually be in the middle, be neutral, and it was fine. And now, not so much. It's now tipping back only the other way, where it's like the right is becoming the insufferable, cancel culture-ish, cringe side of the internet, out of touch, especially. I'm not saying the other side, the left, is good at all, is any better. I guess I am. Inherently, that's exactly what I'm saying, but only a little bit. And that's honestly kind of a crazy thing to admit.
Being angry about COVID and everything that happened during that fever dream of a couple of years, it's understandable. Awful things happened. I mean, the lockdowns, the vaccines, the being separated from our families, kids being kept out of school, it was a travesty. But we have moved on from that. And also we need to be real, because think about who we just elected. Think about who we spent the last couple of years propping up and encouraging and fighting for. Donald Trump, the man who first ushered in lockdowns, the man who encouraged us all to get the vaccine and is still saying how amazing it is.
No
so we can
way.
support
I
him
can't believe
and
it.
elect him and stand behind him 100%, knowing that he isn't perfect, he doesn't have a perfect track record, but a comedian that has changed her mind and is now bravely going on CNN to tell some mildly based jokes. That's not appropriate, because she didn't apologize. It makes no sense. Like so many conservatives that we follow, that we all love, were misled or wrong about COVID. My mother, my tinfoil hat, Alex Jones watching mother who's literally building a bunker. I remember getting grounded in 2020 because I went to the beach with my friends in Los Angeles, and she was like, "You're gonna kill me. You are gonna kill me. You need to go out into the garage. I don't want to see you." Like, literally was grounded because she thought that this was so serious. And it's okay that people were wrong and that things changed, because we genuinely, most people, had no idea what was going on and what was actually true, what was real. So that is one point that I want to make. But most importantly, isn't the goal to change people's minds and bring them over to the other side and show them the light? Like, that is what my goal is. But now people are seemingly upset when that happens, because these individuals who have come over weren't right all along. Like, we spent 10 years fighting tooth and nail, proving people wrong, fighting back against cancellations, dispelling allegations about us, about our political party, about things going on in the world, exposing corruption and lies day after day after day, trying to convince people. I thought that that was the goal. I actually look at Whitney Cummings as a huge win, like a bold win, a refreshing acknowledgement of how far we've come, how many people have bravely, dipped their toe onto the other side, who have admitted that they were wrong and that they've now seen the light. That is objectively a very good thing. And I commend her, and we should all commend her, for having the bravery to admit when she was wrong and take a step to the other side.
Especially on CNN, too. Like, that's crazy. I'm not, like, I mean, that's insane.
Again, a lot of people think that this is a grift. A lot of people think that it's not real, that she hasn't actually changed her mind. I completely disagree. Like, you can literally go back over the last couple of years and you can see where and how her mind started to change. One of my good friends, Chris Williamson, he has a podcast, Modern Wisdom. She has been on his show twice in the last couple of years. And in those episodes, she goes in depth about how being a mother changed her. She became a mother to a son, which made her rethink culture and society, specifically thinking about gender roles and masculinity, completely realizing that she has been lied to, and that was kind of a snowball effect into her changing her mind about everything else. She also did a podcast appearance more recently where she actually hit this political transformation head on. Just take a listen.
We are in a time where if you are on the left and you don't criticize your party, how much do you even care about your party? I don't think the left is as liberal as it used to. It's like the left became the party of censorship and my body, my choice, but you have to take this vaccine, and my body, my choice, pro-choice party, but you don't have a choice in your candidate.
So again, you are seeing her mind change. You are seeing the issues that forced her to rethink everything about her political stance and about her political parties. And I'm seeing all of these comments. I'm seeing people who are posting clips from this podcast and they're saying, Whitney, it's 4 years too late. It doesn't matter. You're not actually brave. I don't care when it happened. Like, truly, I don't. That's BS to me. I'm just happy that she's thinking critically about the situation and that she has gotten to a point where she feels brave enough to speak about it. Like, again, that is a net good, in my opinion. And so the point I'm making is that, yes, people can change. That is a good, normal, human thing that happens to all of us. And when you change, that means that you then come with a past. You come with choices that you've made and things that you believe that you possibly regret, that you would not believe or do now. That's fine. Like, genuinely, that is okay. That is actually very normal for every single human being. So why are we ripping somebody apart because they were 4 years too late? Like, again, wasn't the goal to get people to this point? And so in my opinion, the correct and the good thing to do is to welcome people like Whitney Cummings and understand where they're coming from and have empathy for the fact that, yeah, maybe it took them longer than some other people, but they finally got here. And that doesn't mean that you have to trust them implicitly and say, oh my God, here's your MAGA hat, here you go, I'm going to follow you, and you're actually going to be our shining guide of a light for conservatism. No, like, that is ridiculous. You can tread lightly and be cautious, but you also don't have to be nasty. You also don't have to be a troll.
Yeah, and it's not just like on which side you align either. It's more even just on individual issues. You can change your mind on those issues, and you can. Look, I'm not saying you should, grift or anything, but like it's over time. Whether for whatever reason you grow up or something happens to you or you experience something, your opinion will change. Your view on a certain topic will change over time. It happens to everybody. That's not only acceptable, that should be encouraged. Accepting that should be encouraged. It's okay to second guess. It's okay to change your mind. For sure. You don't have to go from one side of the spectrum to the other in a day. They were fighting for that cause, now they're fighting for this cause. Woohoo! Or you should have been with us the whole time. All that stuff. Say whatever you want about that, but I'm talking about individual issues. It's okay. It's okay to change your mind on something, because most of these topics are never. Almost all of them, 99% of them, never black and white, ever. There's always nuance to them. There's more than one side, more than two sides to every story. It's people get so upset over the shit. It's crazy.
Online because they aren't perfect. Because I guarantee the people that are commenting these things about her are not perfect either. And more than anything, I think that we should be focusing on people's actions, which brings me to yet another example as I've been thinking about all this cancel culture stuff, which is Bud Light. And I can't believe that I'm touching this because I know that this is still such a hostile issue on right-wing social media, but I think we need to talk about it. We all remember their infamous ad with Dylan Mulvaney. I did so many videos about that. They gave Dylan a beer can with Dylan's face on it. It was a whole thing. We had their female millennial girl boss marketing exec saying that the Bud Light consumer base was fratty and out of touch, which really just meant that Bud Light was out of touch with who their audience was.
Yeah.
But Bud Light has spent the last 2 years trying to make things right. They have literally been repenting.
I don't think there's any Okay, this is gonna be a little bit confusing, maybe to some people, but I don't think them doing that ad was necessarily bad, but I don't think it was a good idea for them. Obviously, it didn't work out. Nobody was in support of it. It was out of touch, like she said. And I think it was a little insulting and pandering to a certain demographic. Like, obviously you're trying to appeal to these people who will never like you anyway, who haven't liked you. Like, it's such a, like, from a business perspective, from a logical perspective, it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I don't see why so many people were so upset by it. I genuinely do not understand why so many people got so pissed that there's a trans person on a can of beer. I don't know. I don't know why people cared really all that much. It's kind of like, maybe it's just because I have this video on my mind, but Dream versus Tommy and Dream posted that meme. Like, yeah, it was a really, really bad idea. He should not have done it. It was from a logical perspective, should not have done it. But at the same time, like, it's a meme. Who cares? It's not supposed to be taken too seriously. I don't know. Like, people just get so upset over certain things, and so they gotta spend years backtracking and apologizing and trying to right their wrong that really shouldn't have been much of a wrong. I don't know. It's all stupid to me. I didn't mean to do that.
For 2 years. Like, in my personal opinion, Bud Light has done more to get back on track and actually listen to their consumer base than, say, the companies that Robbie Starbuck has been going after. The companies that get a ominous message on LinkedIn from Robbie saying, we know what you're doing behind the scenes, we're going to expose you. They get freaked out. They put out an apology and a very well-curated PR statement rolling back everything they've been doing over the past couple of years, getting rid of the BLM initiatives, all of that BS. And while those things are obviously still net positives and they're good for society, those are actions that are being done out of fear and convenience, where Bud Light is literally putting in the work, whether you like it or not. Like, over the past couple of years, the ad agency that was involved in that Dylan Mulvaney beer can, they fired 13 people immediately after. Bud Light put 2 marketing execs who were involved in that on leave and ended up firing them. They gave an apology, albeit very squishy, didn't actually hit the issue head on, but they did make an apology. But more importantly, they drastically changed their marketing tactics. Like, they actually got back to who Bud Light's consumers are and what Bud Light stands for. Like, they made Shane Gillis the face of their company, which was a dream come true for him because he loves Bud Light. They tried to make manly advertisements again, like every single one of their ads at this point, I think, has.
Shane Gillis, so in such a short amount of time, has become like everybody's favorite comedian. One of mine, definitely. He's so funny. And that was, like, I remember, I forget what show he's on. If he was on like Joe Rogan with like Mark Normand or something, but they were talking about it, and that was funny. I remember that.
Men in flannels drinking beer and watching football. They did an exclusive partnership with Dana White and the UFC, which, oh my God, I'm sure you guys remember this, which royally pissed people off. I mean, conservatives thought that it was such a betrayal on Dana White's part to help Bud Light rebrand their image after this scandal. But Dana White, interestingly, had a completely different take. He was on a podcast talking about this, and he said, we had multiple bidders on the table. They were one of them. History has shown me, with relationships that I've had with other beer companies, I don't go crazy over the whole Patriot thing, but I consider myself a proud American. I'm happy to be an American. I love this country, and you are way more aligned with Anheuser-Busch than you are with other beer companies. I guarantee it. And then he went even further on Bussin' with the Boys, and he said this.
So if I have made the decision to go with Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, there's a damn good fucking reason. I know the inner workings of the beer business better than any of the other these guys out, these fans and all this shit. And basically, they went after Anheuser-Busch for being woke and doing what they did. 65,000 Americans are employed by Anheuser-Busch, and a lot of them are vets. That alone should be enough reason. Number 2, they spend almost $1 billion a year with U.S. farmers. That should be a fucking reason to do it. All the stuff that they do for first responders and vets and $44 million spent over the last however many years for their families. Every time there's a natural...
Do you think that's a cope? Or did they just, like, offer him a bunch of money? I don't know. Maybe not.
Disaster in America, they shut down the plant and turn it into a bottled water facility. And they've done something crazy like 100 million bottles that they've sent out to Americans in need. Give me a fucking break.
I mean, by that point, Dana White was over it. He had been questioned about this so much. He had been criticized, literally ripped to shreds. So many conservatives that had aligned with him and were partnering with him were breaking off ties. It was literally like the seas had parted. There was a divide over Bud Light.
So
because people
weird.
couldn't decide whether they deserved to be redeemed or whether they should literally be boycotted and canceled into oblivion forever. And I know that there are people who disagree and they want to see these companies who have made wrong turns, who have made bad decisions, they want to see them completely destroyed, canceled, ended, bankruptcy, never to be seen again. But
I guarantee you she would not have been allowed to make this video if she was still with the Daily Wire. I highly doubt they would ever let her near this topic.
Actually completely disagree. Like, I want to see companies change and be better and come back stronger and actually listen to their consumers. Like, I think about companies like Disney. Disney is an incredibly important company and has been for generations. It has changed thousands and thousands of lives. It has changed the direction of so many different industries. It would be a shame to see it be completely destroyed. But I do think it should be better. I think that they should actually listen to their audience and listen to their consumers who pay their bills. That is what needs to change. Like, I don't want to lose integral and historical and important parts of American society simply because I'm bitter and I've been burned. And the way to avoid this is to be self-aware, but it's also to be smarter. And in my opinion, the best way to become smarter is through Peterson Academy. And Peterson Academy is
three of them. This is insane.
Jordan Peterson's online university that is open for enrollment right now. And if you are someone who loves lifelong learning and wants to...
Peterson Academy. I did not know about this. I did not know Jordan Peterson had a school or academy or whatever. Okay, what I want to know is this like a Hustlers University type of thing, or is it like...
Our university level courses taught by world-renowned professors, and it's produced in a way to keep you engaged. These courses cover an amazing range of subjects, from statistics to
I really hope it's not like
psychology to mathematics to science to English literature and so much more. And
Hustlers University type thing, like
there is also a built-in social...
I don't know. For some reason, that's the only one I can think of right now. But I know there are a bunch of courses that just don't do anything, and they're all just for...
features as the platform grows. So if you are ready to challenge your intellect,
I don't know.
expand your horizons,
And for some reason,
really
you always see them
coming
from like more right-wing or conservative figures.
It is $599
So
a year,
I don't know. I might have to look into
$59 a
that.
month to access all 31 8-hour courses, plus the 4 new courses that they are releasing every single month. Plus, you'll get
Might
that
have to
social
look into
community
it, to be
and
honest.
a 7-day money-back guarantee. And the best part is that at that price, you do not have to take out a $60,000 student loan just to further your education. So again, make sure to check out petersonacademy.com/Brett
I really do
today.
need to look
Again,
into
that's
that. I want to know what that's about.
petersonacademy.com/Brett to join Peterson
This could be
Academy
another
today.
scam
And I know that this is
on the
a
horizon.
very hot take in conservative circles right now, but in light of all of this, this is why I am choosing to give Mark Zuckerberg and Meta a chance. I want to see them be better. I want to see them succeed. And I feel like we've literally been watching Mark Zuckerberg transform. I know a lot of people
I was
say,
actually going to talk about this too. The humanization of Mark Zuckerberg. Like, I was going to make a joke about, is he actually becoming less of an antisocial weirdo, or is his software just updating? That's what I want to know. Because even before like the whole Trump stuff, him just like a view of him surfing, like his physique as well, his hair, everything. It's not like he changed overnight to appeal to the more right-wing type people. I think it was a slow transformation over time, over like a couple years. And I thought it was weird, the reaction to him going on Joe Rogan too. I thought that was a really weird reaction, because I was like, oh, cool. Like I didn't watch the whole thing, probably like the first like 30 minutes or so, but I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed listening to him talk, and I didn't think it was all that weird. And I thought, people on the right would eat it up, but no, they were like, get out of here. I don't trust you from that thing you did 4 years ago. I don't know. I thought it was a very strange reaction.
Again, like Whitney Cummings, he's grifting, he's opportunistic, he's just changing right now. Are you kidding me? Like, I have been watching Mark Zuckerberg beef himself up. He started doing martial arts and jiu-jitsu. Like, when he started doing jiu-jitsu, I was like, it's over for the libs. And guess what?
Yeah, and that takes time. That takes a lot of years to actually become decent at training in really any subject. I don't know, surfing too. I mean, that's crazy.
Kind of was. Didn't he open a cattle ranch in Hawaii? He started talking about the importance of eating grass-fed beef. Like somewhere along the line in the last few years, something clicked for him in his life and he began to change. I also personally think that his response to the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, I thought that that was very, very genuine. I didn't think that that was calculated or opportunistic at all. I think that he, like so many other Americans who had turned away from Trump, who didn't really like him, I think that they saw him in a completely different light. I mean, you watched a man who has literally faced lawfare, has faced slander and shame, has been kicked out of his circles, has lost basically his entire community, and now he is being physically attacked, he is being shot at. And you see him stand up and say, fight, 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 because he believes in this country. He doesn't have to do any of this. He could be at Mar-a-Lago golfing, is what we always say. He doesn't have to be president.
Yeah, and
he
this is the
doesn't
stuff
need to be
where I'm
running
like,
again.
okay.
He could be living a peaceful life, but he's choosing to show up
I don't know.
against all odds because he believes in this country and he believes
I don't know
that
about
it
that.
can be great. And I think, again, like a lot of Americans, that clicked for Mark Zuckerberg. And if you don't know the clip that I'm talking about, just listen to what he said immediately after the assassination attempt.
Yeah,
I did see this
Donald
clip.
Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Like, I think in that moment, he developed a man crush. He was like, this is what a real man is. He's tough, he's strong, this is what I want to be. I genuinely think that it was inspiring, and the gears started turning at a much faster rate. I really think that that was the push he needed to draw his line in the sand and start to unravel everything that he and Meta had been doing for so many years, had been complicit in, which is why, in my opinion, he sent that now famous letter to Jim Jordan, where he basically admitted to all the censorship and said the White House was encouraging and forcing their hands. He said that in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately,
I thought
it
this was
our
interesting.
decision whether or
I'm
not to
surprised
take
more
content
people
down, and we own our decisions. This is very
on
important.
her side of
I
the
believe the
internet
government
didn't
pressure
eat
was
this
wrong,
up.
and I regret
that
that we
was
were
so
not
weird.
more outspoken about it. I also think that we made some choices that with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we are ready to push back if something like this happens again. And a lot of people read this letter and they said, oh, he thinks that Trump's going to get in office and that he is going to get reprimanded, that he's going to be thrown in jail. He's trying to cover his track. But that last line spoke volumes. We're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Any administration, either direction. I actually think that he was saying, Kamala, if you get elected, we're not doing this again. Because I know better now. I have more strength. I have more courage. I've seen somebody literally get shot at in the face and continue to stand up against absurdity and tyranny. And I now have the balls to stand up to you. So I think it works in both directions. And then, guys, to top all of this off, he made a video a couple months later, which I'm sure you've seen, announcing a complete overhaul of how Meta and how Facebook monitors content with a focus on free speech, which is, what it should have been the entire time. But now they're going back to their roots, is what he said. Just watch.
The U.S. has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression.
I remember this video coming out, and everybody was like, nobody liked this. Nobody thought this was cool.
Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the U.S. government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the U.S. government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
He's saying this is a global trend that you are all complicit in. We're not doing this again. And now that we have Trump coming into office, it's going to be a lot easier for us to fight back against all of this. And within minutes of this video dropping on social media, it was announced.
I don't know. I think that Elon Musk stuff, man. I have not seen the public perception of a figure change so quickly. I don't know if it's just me who had such a sudden change and a change of heart, where it's just one day it kind of clicked. Him actively censoring people who disagreed with him. The owner of Twitter. That's really weird. And now he's the biggest, one of the top members of the Trump circle, and I think that's really weird. And so is Zuck, and so is the Google guy and Jeff Bezos, that's kind of worrying, I think, for the most part. I think it's a lot more worrying than it is comforting, in my opinion.
That they were, rolling back fact checkers. My favorite part of that video was actually when he said that he was moving the content moderation team from an office in San Francisco to Texas, was hiring all new people, which was just such a F the libs moment. Like, okay, now we're taking this away from you, San Francisco tech bros. We're taking it to Texas where people are a lot more reasonable. That was just fantastic. He literally got rid of the DEI teams at Meta, removed tampons from the men's bathrooms, which was just insane that they were there in the first place. He put Dana White on the Meta board of directors, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing that he did. Because with that, he said, I'm taking this action, yes, but I'm putting somebody incredibly powerful, incredibly well-connected on this board to not only hold me accountable, but also hold the entire company accountable. And of course, and I know people are already going to be commenting about this, and I'm sure you guys are concerned, but with Mark Zuckerberg's track record, obviously we should be skeptical. Obviously, we should not jump in heart first, trusting this man implicitly, but you also shouldn't dismiss the work that he is doing that will make our lives better, that will hopefully change the course of the media landscape, much like Elon Musk and X has done. We should, in my opinion, hope for the best and hope that he is being genuine and being
I really hope it doesn't change in the way that Twitter did. Really. Dude, I can't tell you how supportive I was when I heard Elon was buying Twitter back in, I think, my freshman year of high school. I thought that was so cool because I had no reason to believe that Elon was a weirdo, and I'm still not, but I wasn't one of those people who dislikes somebody because they have a lot of money, dislike someone because they're a billionaire. I don't think that inherently makes somebody a piece of shit. So I didn't have any reason to doubt Elon or think that it wouldn't go well. I never thought he was a right-wing person. I thought he was pretty neutral. I thought he was more on the side of just protecting rights and freedoms. But lately, I've seen he's become more of a. I've noticed he's more of an insecure, egotistical baby than anything. With like the whole Path of Exile situation and the Adrian Dittman thing. I think that's what his name was. Like, it's so weird. He like ran an account to hype himself up when you already have people like Ian Miles Strong and the biggest meat riders possible. I don't know. I really hope the Zuck Meta thing doesn't turn into what Elon and X did.
The changes that he's making. And this man is also in an incredibly difficult situation right now. Like, everyone hates him. If you go online and you watch any videos about Mark Zuckerberg right now, you have libs screaming, losing their minds, saying we're not going to be on Meta anymore, we're getting rid of Instagram, getting rid of Facebook, literally ripping him to shreds. One of my favorite things to do over the last month has been to watch all of my lib friends on Facebook meltdown over this, so they're pissed off at him. Meanwhile, you have conservatives who think that he should be in jail, that nothing he does will ever rectify the situation that he created, that he does not deserve a second chance, that we should also leave Meta, leave Facebook. Like, he can please nobody at this moment.
I feel like he never has either. Everybody's always hated him. I mean, he wasn't talked about nearly as much within, the zeitgeist over the past 10 years until recently. But even then, when he was brought up, it was either to clown on him or to hate him. And that seems to be the case now, only just he's much more, I guess, in the spotlight.
Rock and a hard place. Like, there is no real winning for him here because everybody's going to hate him regardless and nobody is going to like him or trust him. So he is having to do what he believes is a moral right. He's having to make the harder decision, even though it might not be the easier decision. And I will always respect somebody for attempting to do that. And I know that a lot of people believe that he should face repercussions for what he did over the last 10 years. Other people want him to apologize, which in my opinion, he did in that letter to Jim Jordan. And who knows if he will face repercussions. I don't know what Trump is going to do. It seems like they're kind of buddy-buddy considering he was sitting right behind him at the inauguration. And other people are saying, this is one of the most wealthy individuals in America who runs an incredibly powerful company. He should have just pushed back against Biden and the Biden administration. And while that is obviously, yes, true, to me, the fact that this incredibly wealthy and powerful man was afraid of our US government speaks more to their overreach and their corruption and their power than it does to his character. Because if they were willing to attack him and threaten him, imagine what they would have done to all of us. I mean, we saw what they did to people over the last 5 years. So it's understandable that he was apprehensive about not pushing back even more. And so that is why I genuinely am hoping for the best. I want him to be genuine. I want him to succeed because that will be better for all of us. And in my opinion, believing in somebody's ability to change is instrumental to the health, number one, to the health of all of us in our personal lives, but it's also instrumental to the health of the right and our movement. Because if we lose that, we become no better than the left. The left that we have all been canceled and ridiculed by. The left that we have called out for policing speech and being relentlessly tribal in the way that they eat their own and do not allow anybody to have any kind of dissenting opinion or make any kind of misstep whatsoever. The left that says you can't talk about X and you can't do Y. Is that really who we want to become? I go on social media, I go on X, and that's what I'm seeing. It's just a bunch of infighting. It's a bunch of people freaking out because people aren't perfect. Oh my God. Wow. And of course, there's a difference between that kind of toxicity and those cancellations, and simply being cautious and holding people accountable and hoping for the best. But with what I'm seeing online, with what people are saying and commenting, those lines are becoming increasingly blurry. We just elected Donald Trump to his second term, which is fantastic. I think most people are very, very excited and pumped about it. I think that the world feels a lot better since January 20th. But
still a right-wing commentator, but I think this is a very, very overall good take. Calling out the people that are more in her camp is respectable, to say the least, in my opinion. What's the okay. I'm looking through the comments right now. Nothing really on the nothing really on the topic itself. I don't know. I think it's a good video. I think it needs to be. Yeah, I mean, cool. I'm excited to see where she takes this channel going forward. Genuinely, I think this was a good video. Pretty cool. I might make a video on the video. We'll see. I'm gonna start wrapping it up here. I think this was a pretty decent stream. I need to check on how my Tommy Innit video is doing. Last I checked, it was doing pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's doing pretty well, and I'm very happy. Oh my God, here it is. Right here it is. Hit 1,002. I mean, that's crazy. In real time, as I'm looking at it. I mean, that's great. I like I said earlier, this video did not break 30 views for the first 48 hours. And now it's at over 1,000, which is very, very nice to see. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Unfortunately, I do have to wrap it up. I'd stream longer, but I think I have some stuff to get done. Videos to make. I just needed to get down here, collect my thoughts, react to some stuff, and I'm glad that I did. Thanks for watching, those who did. Have a wonderful day, and with that said, it's pegging time.